Well, good afternoon, and thank you for that stretch. It is with great pleasure and honor I get to introduce Katherine Cleland. Katherine is the past chair of the Zonta International Public Relations and Communications Committee, a member of Zonta USA Caucus. She currently serves as webmaster for our own Zonta District 8. Katherine owns and operates Cleland Marketing, a strategic and digital marketing consulting firm. She is a marketing strategist, consultant, trainer, executive coach, and entrepreneur. She currently works with small businesses and women-owned startups through the Small Business Development Center. We are certainly grateful for Katherine lending her time and talent to today's workshop with a presentation of Stop Child Marriage Public Service Announcement Campaign and Toolkit. So welcome, Katherine.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. I've got something we can all work on from home for Zonta across the USA, and I'm really, really proud to finally bring this to fruition. So as part of the Zonta USA Caucus, we have been looking at opportunities for nationwide advocacy tied in with Zonta's mission and core areas of work. And as we tackled the different opportunities that faced us, and we looked for a centennial activity that would bring all of the Zonta USA clubs together in a concerted advocacy action. We landed on the idea of what was originally called the Billboard campaign, the Stop Child Marriage Billboard campaign. We began work on this last August and decided to work on it with a partnership with UNICEF USA. And that has been both our greatest opportunity and one of the biggest challenges of bringing this campaign and toolkit to the fore, because as we've developed the campaign for public service announcements, we have forged new ground not only for Zonta to have a national focused campaign through the USA Caucus, which works outside of our normal district and organizational boundaries. And so we've had to work with the international board and with international president to set up new processes and procedures. We've also set up new processes and procedures for a USA partnership. So a partnership at the national level, and UNICEF USA has had to set up completely new organizational approvals for doing a co-branded campaign. So it's been very instructional for everybody, and I'm hoping it's going to pave the way for a lot of future work that we can continue to do as a national advocacy arm of all of the USA clubs. So I'm very excited about this. But as I said, in partnership with UNICEF USA, we've got this new public service announcement toolkit. And so I'm going to switch over to share screen view. And everybody's going to see my whole desktop. You did not want to see my chat box with my kids. Does everybody see my screen? Great. I'm not going to full screen view because I want to keep visible the being able to switch to live web. So if this is not big enough, all of these slides are available as part of the toolkit on the Zonta USA website, and I'm going to show you how to access it. So for notes, everything here that I'm going to show you is available as part of the toolkit on the Zonta USA website. So it's an End Child Marriage campaign, and we're using the URL stopchildmarriages.org. And a hashtag of Stop Child Marriages as well as End Child Marriage. And this is a Billboard campaign that has become much broader. It's a public service announcement campaign. And so what is a public service announcement campaign? A public service announcement is a part of the history of media in the United States that most media companies will reserve a space available for announcements in the public good as part of their contribution to their communities. And as such, billboards in particular will give free space to educational and nonprofit organizations that are trying to raise awareness in the public good. And so we have positioned this as a public service announcement campaign that's available to all clubs and districts in the United States. And we're hoping to use it not only for billboards, but there's a real opportunity for digital signs. And digital signs can be found at airports, they can be found at convention centers, they can be found in shopping malls. There are also in some areas digital billboards. And so there are lots of places where we can think creatively to find ways to put up the public service announcement artware. We have priority targets for Stop Child Marriages, where we've got advocacy needs to get legislation done to end child marriage. But we're asking Zonta clubs and districts to focus on their state capitals and on their local area. So this is a real opportunity we see as well for all clubs to get recognition for the work that Zonta is doing to end child marriage and for the work that their club is doing in their local area by having a co-branded PSA campaign with UNICEF USA. We're also asking UNICEF USA to fund or find billboard space in Washington, D.C. or New York City, which are some of their marquee areas, to get some national attention. So we're looking for some public relations punch out of this as well. Combined with the PSA campaign, we also have a social media campaign that has similar artwork to the PSA campaign, but is significantly expanded. And here's your Easter egg. All PSA placements should lead to www.stopchildmarriages.org. And that's with an S, www.stopchildmarriages.org. endchildmarriage.org or .com was not available. That was our first choice. And so we worked with UNICEF USA to agree to stopchildmarriages.org. And that is the destination for our co-branded website. And I'll take you there live in just a minute. One of the things we want to talk about, and I'd love to have a little discussion at the end of this presentation, is what are some other PSA opportunities? Where else could we show this artwork and get people to come to the stopchildmarriages.org to take action, to learn about and then take action on Stop Child Marriages? So it's USA-wide, so we're trying to get this in every single state, in state capitals. We've got a call to action is always learn more at stopchildmarriages.org. So if you put this up in social media, if you create a physical banner, if you're doing tabling and you want to draw people to the campaign, what we have to do is make sure that we're taking people to stopchildmarriages.org. It is actually a 12 to 18 month rolling billboard campaign. So we have worked with the USA Caucus and the Zonta International Board that this is something for the next 2 years. So 2020, 2021, and possibly even longer. So we have a lot of time to implement the toolkit, work with local partners, and keep this as an ongoing activity for a big part of the biennium. And in particular, I'm focusing in Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska on the next cycle of legislative sessions. So we have legislative sessions in Oregon and Washington in January 2021. And so having billboards up in our capital this fall prior to those legislative sessions is something that could be very valuable to bring pressure on some of our legislators and awareness among partners who can work with us to stop child marriages in our states. Placements and production of the billboards or placement of the digital signs needs to be coordinated and funded locally by clubs. So this is a toolkit for club implementation with training and support from the USA Caucus. And I am the USA Caucus point person for that support. So everybody can write down at the end of this presentation my email. Most of you have it already, but I am here to field calls and answer questions. for any club that is got questions as they work through the Billboard campaign. And as I get those questions, I will continue to build out the toolkit. So the toolkit will get more and more robust as we get feedback from the clubs as to the questions that they need to ask. We are also looking at doing key state capitals done by the USA Caucus, funded through a fundraising campaign. So we're working with not only UNICEF USA, but also Unchained at Last. And Unchained at Last has a really good program that is identifying where advocacy could influence legislation, and those key state capitals, we're going to try and make sure, even if we don't have Zonta clubs in those states that can afford to put billboards in those state capitals, we're going to do that as a USA Caucus. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So the goals, what are the goals of this PSA campaign? One is to unite our clubs to end child marriage in the USA, age 18 with no exceptions. We are also doing really good awareness, not only of end child marriage, but the partnership between Zonta USA and UNICEF USA, which gives local clubs a real opportunity to raise their visibility in their local area. We're looking to educate folks to increase awareness about the prevalence of child marriage in the US, the lack of laws protecting children, particularly girls, and then we're also encouraging people to act in Zonta districts, club areas, and state capitals, to learn more about child marriage and take action via an easy-to-use platform. And then it was also working on our partnership skills at a USA Caucus level. And so working with UNICEF USA and Unchained at Last to amplify the message. So what's in the PSA toolkit? In the PSA toolkit, you have billboard artwork, social media artwork and sample messages, this PowerPoint, so any club president can bring this exact PowerPoint with the speaker notes to their club, a checklist for clubs and districts, suggestions of who to contact, a script, a fundraising letter, a Zonta backgrounder, and the basics on billboards and digital signs. So that's a lot. I'm going to switch over to a live view now and take you to take a look at the toolkit. So many folks have not yet been to the new Zonta USA website. It's been developed on behalf of Zonta USA over the past 6 months, and you'll see it looks a lot like Zonta District 8 website because I built it off the same design base. It has all of the activities that Zonta USA Caucus is working on, so end child marriage, equal rights amendment, and human trafficking. Zonta says no, and cities for CEDAW are the key areas that the USA Caucus has been working on. And the end child marriage in the USA main pages lead to this Stop Child Marriage campaign that's publicly focused. Where the toolkit lives is in resources. So here in news and resources, it has under advocacy resources, the Stop Child Marriage's PSA toolkit. Does everybody see this here? And so if we go there and we go to, whoop, I went to the wrong one. If we go to the toolkit, I've got it, I thought I had it open. We'll go there. My computer's really slow with the Zoom meeting running, so it'll take just a second. So this is the page that you'll land on for the Stop Child Marriage's PSA toolkit. And there's an Easter egg in the PowerPoint that you will find that shows you exactly where this toolkit is. And it's zontausa.org/PSA toolkit is the fastest way to get to it. The first link is to the website, which I'll go to in a minute. But what there is here on the toolkit webpage is this PowerPoint. So it's got it on a slideshow basis with the notes. If you open it up here in the lower right-hand corner, it'll actually open in a new window with the speaker notes. So this makes it very easy for you to present in a Zoom meeting with your club members. So if you're a president or an advocacy chair, this will help you replicate this presentation. And it answers a lot of the questions. Then we have a blurb that you can put in your club newsletter. So it's a long blurb You can see how long it is here. You can cut it down or link to it, but it's a way to make the campaign and its content available to your club members. And then in the actual toolkit, we have this PowerPoint in both a PowerPoint version and a PDF version. We have a button that links to download the Billboard artwork. So we can go here and it takes you to Dropbox with the 14-foot by 48-foot artwork. So this is artwork that is print ready for a billboard. So you could actually give this link directly to a printer to print out the billboard for one of the two sizes of standard billboards. We also have in the toolkit the content of the toolkit. So it's got a checklist. So I'll take you there and show you what that looks like. That's the 101. Here it is, the checklist. So it's got a checklist of what we've got, what you need to do, and there's a checklist of what's in the toolkit as well. Here we go. Here's the checklist of what's in the toolkit. So the billboard artwork, the social media artwork, the PowerPoint, checklist for clubs and districts, contacts for billboard companies, a script for contacting billboard companies, the fundraising letter, the Zonta backgrounder, the Billboard 101, and the social media elements. So each of these tools is a piece of what needs to happen for the successful implementation of this PSA. What clubs need to do is to assign a lead. Each club should assign a PSA billboard lead. That could be their public relations person, it could be their advocacy person, or it could be someone else who is excited about working for the next 12 to 18 months on this campaign. And what we're asking is for those leads then to collaborate within their state, so that this becomes a statewide, both educational and advocacy campaign that involves clubs working together at the state level. Then each lead will pick their area and collaborate on who's going to take the capital, and then they're going to call up billboard companies and ask for free PSA billboard space. And those conversations are all about where, when, and what size. And so a lot of the information in the toolkit is Billboard 101. What size billboards are standard? How do you ask? What does a script look like for when you call up the billboard companies, and who? Which billboard companies might you work with? The toolkit's focused on working with Lamar Outdoor, because they are the #1 billboard company in the US, and they have also been a friend to Zonta. And they have worked very well with Zonta in Michigan and in the Eastern Seaboard for human trafficking billboards. And so we can talk with them and say, you know, your organization on the Eastern Seaboard has worked with Zonta, and we can send them that 4-page Zonta backgrounder if they want to know and learn more about Zonta as we ask them for this PSA space. So we're going to work with the billboard companies, we're going to request PSA, and then we're going to have to fundraise for printing. So even though PSA space is free, and the billboard companies will give you a billboard that is not otherwise booked, or a rotation into a digital billboard, if you have to print a 14-foot by 48 billboard, it has to be printed on vinyl and will last for a significant amount of time. What I found is the printing costs vary hugely by location and by the local printer. And so if you call your local Lamar Outdoor person for billboard space, the thing to do is to ask them who are the printers who print billboards in your area. And then you need to call those printers and ask them for either in-kind donation of printing or nonprofit discounts, come up with a budget, and then raise the money to print that billboard and have it up. Things to consider are, as billboard space is available, if it costs $2,500 to print one of these 14-foot by 48-foot billboards, we don't want that to only be up for a week or two. So we want to make sure that if we're going to go to the commitment of printing and having a billboard put up, we're looking for a good placement in a high traffic location that can be up for longer. So that's part of the negotiation that we'll need to do with the billboard companies that we want to work with. As billboard space becomes available, then the billboard lead would order prints or provide the artwork, get those to the printer. The printer then works with the billboard company to get it put up in the local area. Most billboard companies, if they do it as a PSA, will provide the placement cost, the putting it up, as free as part of their PSA service. So generally, we're talking only the printing cost has to be borne by the local clubs. The best thing about those digital billboards is it doesn't have any printing costs required. And so it is usually a free opportunity to do a placement in a digital location as they rotate it in among commercial advertisements. That billboard lead will also keep in touch with the representatives for the billboard companies in their area on an ongoing basis. Basically, the squeaky wheel will get the grease. If you're checking in on a monthly or weekly basis and saying, got any space available, you're more likely to get pinged when something does become available and be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And then we have a huge opportunity to amplify this on social media. We're going to be posting it on Zonta USA, but we're asking the clubs to take pictures if they get a billboard placed, use tags, and share the social media campaign that will be rolling over time on Zonta USA. Our target markets are all 48 states that allow child marriage. So the only 2 states that are off the hook are New Jersey and Delaware, because they have passed legislation that bans child marriages for all children under the age of 18. As I said, we're looking at state capitals and Zonta club locations. And then we've got these worst case states and active states. And the worst case states with the lowest age and the least restrictive laws, as we learned at the district convention last year, include Idaho and Washington. So we've got work to do in our district, absolutely. And our active states are on the right-hand side. And in these active states, we're going to work really hard to make sure we've got billboards up soon through fundraising and work by the USA Caucus in collaboration with the clubs. And in the worst case states, that will be our second set of opportunities. But in Idaho, Washington, and Alaska, we've got some really good work we can do in District 8. So what happens after somebody's seen one of our billboards? What they're going to do is they are going to come to the website, stopchildmarriages.org. And this is what the website looks like. Can everybody see this on their screen? And this is live now, so this is available. The main page has the billboard and reinforces that they've seen the artwork, they're in the right place. It gives them an opportunity immediately to act now. So if they don't want to scroll further and they want to do something, they can do that. But because this is a PSA campaign, we really have to focus on the education, not on the advocacy. So we have the section here in the middle that's all about the statistics on child marriage from Unchained at Last, as well as the consequences of early marriage. Then we give them an opportunity to get involved, to send a letter below. The letter below, the Act Now, is in partnership with UNICEF USA. They will get the opportunity by filling out their name, address, zip, phone number to send a tailored letter to their legislators. And what that looks like as a landing page is this co-branded UNICEF USA, Zonta USA. As you fill this out, if your state has active pending legislation, it will reference the actual legislation number, and it will choose your specific state legislators based on your name and address. Every single Zontian should fill out this, no matter where they are in the United States, but all of our partners and allies can fill this out, as well as any person who sees one of our PSA announcements or billboards. So one of the metrics we're going to have is the number of people coming to the www.stopchildmarriages.org, but also how many people are actually filling out over the next 12 to 18 months this email to their legislators to end child marriage. And it also has the social media share opportunities. So people can follow us and they can share this as they wish in their local community. So the goal is really to have the sign viewer come to the website, stopchildmarriages.org, fill out their short form, send a letter, and take action. For the target states that we're trying to do out of the USA Caucus, we have a matching grant of $2,500. So we're trying to get an additional $2,500 raised. And the Porterville Zonta Foundation has agreed to be our fiscal sponsor for this because the USA Caucus does not have a bank account. And it was going to be a real challenge working with Zonta International and their bank accounts. And so because this is a PSA campaign, it is a nonprofit donation. So we're using a foundation as our fiscal sponsor, and it would be tax deductible. So if you'd like to make a contribution to the national campaign for the priority states, you can do it by sending a check to Porterville Zonta Foundation, attention the National Billboard campaign here, or there's a PayPal link that you can see that's here as well. So we'd love your support on this. But keep in mind, we're also probably going to be doing fundraising at the club and state level to fund billboards in at least Idaho, Washington, and Alaska, because we have strong needs in our own communities to raise awareness about child marriage. So this map I wanted to show you is linked from the Stop Child Marriages website here on the state-by-state progress. So rather than recreate the wheel, we, in our partnership with Unchained at Last, are using the work that they do to highlight, and it's continuously updating where there are bills. So where there are bills that have passed, we can see that New Jersey and Delaware are completed. They've ended child marriage. Yellow states are where they've had a bill passed that limits child marriage. Gray, where a weak bill is pending. Pink, where a strong bill is pending. Blue, where a previous bill has failed. And black, where there's no action happening. And so you can see in District 8, we've got some real opportunities to improve our legislation. And so that's a piece of what we will do with these campaigns. So stopchildmarriages.org, I'm gonna repeat that 1,000 times because I want every Zontian to be able, within the next few months, to be able to rattle that off to anybody who asks, where do I go to stop child marriage? Stopchildmarriages.org. Then getting social. In our social media toolkit, we have action that's going on at Zonta International, Zonta USA, and UNICEF USA. And so this slide is a little bit out of date. I have to update it because we have now on the Stop Child Marriages toolkit, which is down here, a whole social media tools section for any clubs to use. We've got a direct link to the Zonta USA Facebook, the Zonta USA Twitter, the UNICEF USA Facebook, the UNICEF USA Twitter, and the UNICEF USA Instagram. Unchained at Last, Facebook and Twitter, Unchained at Last, Instagram. You can download the social media images. So again, this is a clickable link that'll take you to a Dropbox. And in this Dropbox, we have the social media images as well as suggested messages. So it has social media posts that you can put up. That is, child marriage is happening right now in the US. That's not okay. Take action to end child marriage. And it takes them to the website. So these all can be copied and used in social media, and we will be adding to this as we go along. What's really cool is some of these images, like this one, let's see if I can get it to work, are animated. The young lady will look at you and the text change. Do you see that? Is it animated? I see Stephanie nodding. And so this is a really good one to put up on Facebook because the movement really catches people's eye. And so we will be rotating these through our own Facebook, and then Gina, as she has time at headquarters, is going to be developing some more of social media images. And so we're going to have a rotation over the next 18 months of new elements that will get more and more people to the stopchildmarriages.org as part of the public service announcement. Those are the elements in your toolkit. So here's your Easter egg. The toolkit elements are all at zontausa.org/PSA toolkit, or you can navigate there by going to zontausa.org and then going to resources and finding it. There, we've got the animated posts. How to reach me, Zonta@clelandmarketing.com, or my phone number, 541-231-4445. I've already gotten some emails from District 9 on this, and what I've told them, and I'll tell you, is if I don't get back fast enough on your email, text me at my phone number to tell me you sent me an email. My inbox has been very, very full lately. And so sometimes just a gentle reminder that there's something waiting for me in my email will grab my attention and prompt a response. So that is the End Child Marriages Toolkit and PSA campaign. What I'd like to do is to stop sharing and have a conversation about other ways we could use this artwork. What are some creative ideas that you might have as to where, other than a billboard, you could use this, and where might there be digital signs and other places that we could draw attention to ending child marriage in our communities?
Catherine, this is Vicki. I have a question, and great presentation, so thank you very much. In Oregon, if I have this right, 18 is the minimal age, 17 with parental consent, which is very different from Idaho. Washington is different. So when I think about, if we put resources, like even thinking about spending money in Salem, we're not looking at that big of a difference. Does it make more sense to focus on the states in our district that have much more egregious child marriage laws?
Yes, and that's part of what we have to have a conversation about. The goal, though, is, so I'm not as familiar with Oregon, and this is a conversation that hopefully we can have, or if the Oregonians here all know what your current law is. My understanding is there's also other exceptions that take it below 17. If a child is emancipated, or there's some other concerns. And so is there, are there opportunities for legislation in Oregon that having people be aware of those exceptions in your state and getting that information would help push protection for girls and all children?
Well, I did a little search. It looks, and that's the hard part. You know, even the state legislation is not really clear. Like, you know, there's places you can see it's 12 or 14, but a lot of places sort of cover it and then say, yes, there could be an exception. I've already signed up and sent it to our 2 legislators in Oregon, but I really wonder if I don't know who they are, but they make it hard to see who's doing this and really what the rates are.
Yeah, so if we go here, so in 2019, Representative Sherry Schouten introduced House Bill 2767 to end all marriage before age 18, and the bill died at the end of the legislative session. So even in Oregon, there is active work being done. And so then the question is, who did Sherry work with? And is there an opportunity in Oregon to have that be brought back up again? And would a I would say a minimal campaign still be valuable in support of her and the partner's work.
So I think the notice that I sent went to her and some guy, and they're both Democrats, and those were the ones that were recognized. Like you said, when you enter your own information and your own street address or zip code, whatever it asks for, it then sent me and said, thank you for registering, and your information will be sent to these two representatives.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
And so there is a bigger advocacy piece that we can attach to that, but I still think it makes sense to raise awareness that underage child marriage and the risks of child marriage are still in place, even for those 17-year-olds in Oregon. But absolutely, I mean, if there's extra effort and opportunity in District 8, there's no question that Washington, Idaho, and Alaska have much further to go. And I apologize for those of you who are Canadians. I don't know your situation. One of the questions I've been asked in a previous presentation of this is, could Canada do this? And my understanding is the Canadian districts are having a conversation about whether or not to create a Canadian caucus and what activities they would like to focus on based on what the highest concerns are in Canada nationally. And I don't know what the status of that is. So Cindy, are you still here with us? You had some great ideas with the Zonta Club of Everett on some of the digital opportunities for using this PSA. Do you want to share those?
Sure. So in Everett, just north of Everett along the I-5 corridor, there are 3 very, very large billboards that are managed by the Stillaguamish tribe, actually, that we're going to reach out to see if we can get on those 3 billboards. And 2, I think, are northbound and 1 is southbound. In addition, there's the Everett Arena, where our young hockey team plays. They have a board right on Broadway and Hewitt, which is one of our biggest intersections in the city of Everett. It's a digital board. The Linwood Convention Center also has one, which is a little bit south of us. We were talking about even reaching out to SeaTac, because there is a large billboard as you drive into the Seattle-Tacoma airport. And for those in South Sound, there's several billboards in the Fife and Tacoma area. So I don't know if Olympia and South Puget Sound want to reach out to any of those. We also thought about the new Plainfield Airport. We believe they have billboards on the inside, at the inside of the airport. So while you're waiting for your flight, that we can get access to, as well as the Everett Clinic, which has, I think, 12 locations in Snohomish County. They also have digital billboards on the inside of their clinics. So Carrie Blair, who's our president of the Everett Club, her and I are going to co-chair this for the Everett Club this coming year.
Catherine, I might have missed it, but besides the billboard with the white girl on it, like when you talk about working with indigenous tribes in the area, are there, and I could have missed it, are there other billboards they have with women of color, young girls of color, to make it more?
We decided to go with a single piece of artwork, trying to get all of the Zonta leadership and all of the UNICEF leadership align in approving even one photo shoot, one piece of artwork. A, it was all we could afford, and B, it was challenging enough. So we decided not to go with a multicultural approach.
Thanks.
Barbie?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you had brought up information. This is all very good information for us here in Canada as well. It sparks ideas. It gives us a path to go on. I don't know about the actual other Canadian clubs and what direction they're going on, but I can speak to here in BC. I see that we have Nanaimo members here. This issue is very topical, and it's timely as well, because we're known globally for not having child marriage in Canada, which is actually false. because when you actually look at the Marriage Act province to province, as you would state to state, they're the ones that issue the marriage license, most of them have loopholes. And so our club, we had one of our regular business meetings. This was a topic. We had a Pearson student come and address the club and talk about her campaign in Norway, and how as youth activists, they were able to launch a campaign, and they actually changed legislation. And I will tell you, that meeting was so well attended by our people we hadn't seen out at a meeting before, community partners and allies. So we started the spark. We just now have to continue on. And to tell you how topical it is, just as of March 2020, March 3rd, there was an actual academic study that has been launched and released and has been made available. So it's an academic review and study about child marriage in Canada and a systemic review. So this is very timely, and I would say when we start talking like, who does this impact? Child enforced marriage impacts quite a few different segments of our society. So I can appreciate why you didn't go with like a diverse billboard, because I think the people that we're speaking to assumes that it happens in other places, and it happens in countries that we usually get to see that there's an image and there's a stereotype. So when you see something jarring like that, it actually speaks to, it happens in cross-cultural, cross-religious. It's not just religious. There's very different things. I learned that last when we were listening to Frady, she was talking about forced marriage as a system to, as parents were trying to, behavior reform, where they were taking children that have come out to them and trying to reform them, and they were putting them in forced marriages. So when you start looking into the statistics, it affects more than we actually understand or acknowledge. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, and don't feel like you're excluding us. There's lots of things, and you gave me a lead on Lamar here in BC, does all of the public transportation. So it's kind of nice to be able to say Lamar in the US is doing this, so we have an in. So thank you.
Great. I see Lee's got a question on, would it make more sense in Oregon to do a billboard on sex trafficking up and down I-5 corridor? So as I've developed the toolkit with the USA Caucus, that is the conversation that I've had with District 9, is they would love to work with District 8 as a follow-on campaign to do anti-sex trafficking set of billboards up and down the I-5 corridor. So I would say, yes, let's put that on our list for 2021. Let's do what we can right now with the End Child Marriage through the legislative session in 2021, and then pivot to an End Human Trafficking approach, since we're all going to develop a skill set around public service announcements that is going to be huge capacity building for Zonta clubs and Zonta individuals. Because that's one of my goals on this, is it's training. We're all going to become much better about how to use these tools that are available to us to raise up issues about women and girls in our communities.
Okay, are there any more questions for Katherine? We're gonna
thing to say. This is Shelley from Anchorage. Billboards are outlawed in our state. You can't actually have a sign higher than 50 feet high. So I'm looking into wrapping buses and other things and trying to find out costs on that kind of stuff. I'm getting some pretty slow response, but I have reached out to find out what the cost of that would be. And other potential places, you know, maybe bus stops or something. Tim mentioned to me maybe bus stops. I haven't thought about the bus stops. The first thing that they talked about was like a marquee thing that was on like our PAC center when the PAC's not running, like what, you know, show is happening. They run like advertisement, and that's like ridiculously expensive. I mean, like $25,000 to do it. It's like crazy expensive. So I'm just gonna try to find out what I can find out about buses and other places to do this, because they won't let our pretty scenery be blocked by ugly billboards.
Hawaii is exactly the same way. And so the Hawaiian clubs are working on some ideas. And so one of the things I want to do is share those thoughts and best practices. So as I get information back from Hawaii, I will not only share it with you, Shelley, but it's going to be applicable to every club, because any creative use of the artwork that's not billboards is another way that it could be used locally.
Right. And as soon as I get some more information about what Alaska's doing too and what Alaska allows, because there's also some pretty restrictive rules about what they'll even allow for public advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that they'll even go for this campaign, period, PSA or no. So once I get that back from Ethan Berkowitz, who's our mayor, I've been in contact with his office already. I will let you know as well what he says.
Great. And what a lot of these new ideas are going to require is to change the artwork into different shapes. So basically, we've got it pre-made in the 2 shapes for the 2 most common billboard forms. And so Gina is available to us to help put it in different shapes. And as long as it's horizontal, she's got permission from UNICEF USA to adjust it within parameters. But if we go to a vertical, so if it has to be a skyscraper, we don't have any approved artwork with UNICEF USA for skyscraper, which is why we're saying we're not going for transit, because most transit artwork is vertical. And we've got all our design approved for horizontal, just so everybody knows that. And so we can be pretty responsive to different sizes for horizontal formats, but not necessarily vertical.
Another thing that was brought up was, you know, remember the campaign we did about, you know, if you're walking on eggshells around your partner, you know, we put them in all the bathrooms. We had those stickers, and we put all the stickers in the bathrooms on the mirrors. That was another thing that was also thought of, was perhaps we do some sort of internal campaign about, you know, places where women would frequent, and, you know, where we could maybe get the word out. But nothing has been developed in our club yet, but I've just been doing some preliminary work, of course, because I'm, well, the advocacy person, and because I'm on the USA Caucus. So I've been getting all the emails. So I'll keep you posted what I find out.
Super. Cindy?
Katherine?
Oh, Pete.
Some of you, I'm sure many of you remember former International President Diane Curtis from Santa Clarita, California. When she was president, there was an initiative on anti-trafficking that she, I think, kind of led originally because she owns a trucking company. And we had signs on big rig tractor trailers on their trailers, and traveled all over. So, you know, a way to have a billboard on the interstates without it being a billboard.
Great, I love it.
Katherine, this is Cindy. I was just looking at Pam Kennedy's comment from Area 1, and she said, what about in the advertisements before movies, when we go to the movies theaters?
Yeah, that's a great idea. If they're willing to put that in as a PSA.
Oh my gosh, we all have access to that.
Exactly. So just tell me sort of what aspect ratio they need. So what size they need to have that, presuming they're digitally projecting it. Great.
Okay. You guys have so much great conversation going. It's kind of hard to shift gears and wrap this up, but what a great opportunity to hear from so many of you for such good things, and stirred up a lot of people getting excited about this. So thank you very much, Katherine. Thank you all for all your great presentations. I just want to say a couple things. Oh, we have a question, Natalie? You're muted. Unmute.
Okay, just wanted to do a little update on Idaho since we got such a bad rap last fall. Before the legislature, they ran out of time to go all the way through, but it came out of committee and it is now age 16.
Yep.
And the legislator said that's not ideal, but it's better than what it was. And they'll continue to work on it, but because of COVID, 18, 19, they didn't have any more time. So
Okay.
we are a step up.
Excellent. 16
All
is
right.
better than 15, 17 is better than 16, and 18 is better than any of the rest of it.
Well, maybe we're not at the bottom of the heap, but anyway, there were some good dialogues going on that conversation. So
Great.
Very good.